came about.
Okay, I'll start, and then it'll go down the way. First off, I just want to say thank you to every single person that's up here. We've worked together, all of us together, on other shows and series, and except for Kelly, and now you're the belle of the ball, our Sleeping Beauty. And I just want to say thank you for all of you to come to Calgary. This is Mike in my hometown, and thank you for coming out as well too. So I appreciate it. This all happened, it would be, let's see, the phone call was February 2015. Chris Regina from Sci-Fi called me. I was on vacation in Hawaii, and he says, I think we've had something that came to us. It's half-baked, it's not great, but there's something in there, and it's, do you like vampires? Do you like Van Helsing? And I was like, love it. It's not my genre, I had to admit. But anyway, long story short, he said, someone's going to call you. I could tell you what happened for 4 or 5 months to get to a point of where it got greenlit, but it came to us. And from that, we hired an incredible showrunner, Neil Abute, who's not here tonight. He really wishes he could, but he's in Germany launching a new play. And then from Neil, it was Simon Barry, we were just so fortunate, so lucky. Simon was the showrunner of Continuum. And of course, we're very excited about something that we won't announce tonight, but we will the next month with Simon. And then it was the process of hiring the writers in the writers' room and creating this incredible story and making sure that we didn't follow the other Van Helsing that's out there, the Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale one. And then it was, where do we shoot this? And why do we want to go and shoot this in Vancouver? And how do we put it together? And then, of course, as the scripts were coming together, had the most incredible honor of putting together, I think, one of the finest casts in TV series out there, and it's these fine gentlemen and ladies here.
Yeah, it's been very serendipitous, and the vampire genre was certainly new for us, and even sci-fi. I mean, we did Mutant World, and then we've sort of grown into it, and really, Neil Labute has an interesting take on human interrelationships and all that stuff. So it was just been a real pleasure to work with him under his creative guidance and collaboration with all the marvelous artists on this stage.
Including Michael Nankin, who we were just, again, so fortunate not only to do the pilot, but the first 3 episodes. We'd worked together on Hell on Wheels, and he knows his genre, doing Defiance incredibly well. I'm so fortunate.
And how did the idea come about to go into being a female? Like, I love that. You're amazing, by the way. Was it a team sort of direction to go that way, or where did that sort of pop in?
Well, Kelly had a sex change operation.
Yeah? Okay.
So we had to go with it.
Yeah.
Simon, you're representing the room here.
Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Well, we were fortunate that it was kind of obvious that Van Helsing needed to be shaken up and changed and updated. We were taking it out of the period world and putting it in a contemporary setting. It just made sense that it would be a woman, and that would be the most obvious way to reinvent it and change it. And I think personally, it's a better way into the show because the stakes for a single mom who can't find her daughter, I think, are more present and relevant to the character in a way that you identify really quickly with her, and you want to see what's going to come. So I think there was no disagreement. It was
unanimous.
No one discussed another version ever. That was it.
Is there some questions from the audience? Yeah, in the middle, go ahead.
Mythology of the vampire is very iconic in movie history. So why did you choose to go the direction that you did, as more of the mutant version of it?
As far as the what version?
Mutant version.
Mutant version of it. In the known mythologies, that was more as the story goes on, but it's interesting take.
Yeah, we debated a lot about how to keep the vampire science grounded, and trying to not make it a supernatural show and actually ground it in a bit of viral science. And so there was a natural inclination towards what you will find in the show is we have 3 stages, 3 tiers of vampires. We have the vampires who are like the ones you saw in this episode who kind of are in control, who are ancient and old and drink human blood and fly first class. And then you have the ferals that you saw on the street that are kind of have been probably feeding on animals, feeding on themselves, other vampires who've got lower facilities. And then we have a second tier, which you'll see in the next episode, which is more like the soldier ant vampire. And the idea was to make it so that this was something different in terms of what we'd traditionally seen with capes and bats and mirrors and garlic, and go with something that was a little bit more, edgy and scary and felt more like a viral outbreak.
Did you have some of the cast in mind right from the get-go? Because you've worked with some of these fine actors before? Or
Yes,
yeah?
absolutely. There's no doubt. But we did not know who our Vanessa was going to be.
Okay.
And that was for me, was a very stressful situation because you needed someone that could be, you could feel for as a mother, who's just a normal person, but she's going to turn into this, kick-ass warrior. And to find that we went through, I have to say the names. I think the short list was 300 actresses in Canada, United States, Australia, and that list got shorter and shorter and shorter. And it's so great. It's been just a little over a year since we started this process, and we couldn't have picked a better Vanessa with Kelly. There's just absolutely not a better one. So fortunate.
And have the group of you had a chance to see it together yet? Has the actor, all of you?
Not episode 2. No, we saw episode 1 together. We had a crew party and saw episode 1, but this is I think this is our first crack at episode 2 altogether. It was a treat. Anyone?
And you probably, is there any questions? Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, when the series will be available in Canada.
I have to answer this one, right? Still my fault for picking Super Channel, those fuckers. No. You go to Chapter 11, and what do? You're going to take a whole company down with you. Anyway, we are in the process right now of reselling it. We're hoping in the next 6 months you'll find it on another honorable channel in Canada. And we do actually, joking aside, we wish Super Channel the very best out of their bankruptcy protection. So yes, it will be in the next 6 months on the Canadian broadcaster. Then it will go to iTunes, and then a deal we haven't announced, but Netflix is our new partner.
It's already on It's already on BitTorrent. It's doing really well there. So
Yeah. I think
we're in the top 10 on BitTorrent, so that's good.
But go legit. Okay.
But this is a Canadian production. We're proud of it. It will be on a Canadian broadcaster, and we're hoping the numbers tomorrow night. We premiered with the first 2 episodes on the 23rd, and so tomorrow we may very well know in the next few weeks if we get a season 2 pickup. So fingers crossed. So,
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Is there some more questions? Yeah.
I noticed a lot of the theme kind of went also near like The Walking Dead. So do you think that's going to be a fun thing, like that you're going to be compared to them? Maybe like the way you show the gore stuff and like the way you film it might be like similar to attract like a similar audience.
The theme and effects related to Walking Dead. Is basically
We'd be very
the gist
lucky
of
to
it.
get those numbers.
Yeah. You know what? Our whole career. I mean, when we did Hell on Wheels for 6 years, we were compared to, is Deadwood. But you know what? It's okay. We're okay with that. I think again, the numbers of The Walking Dead are phenomenal. We've got our own idea, own premise. We've got our own writers. So we're not trying to copy anybody or anything. I mean, let's be honest. Everything.
Zombies move slow. Vampires can move quicker.
Runners. We also get to know our bad guys aren't just mindless machines. There's a glimpse of it in this episode, but as the season continues, we do kind of get into the vampire universe in a big way, and we sort of figure out what they're after, what their internal battles are about, and how they may have won this battle, but they still haven't won the war. So that's a big difference from The Walking Dead, because you never really get to meet the enemy or get to know them. And so in this show, we spend a lot of time later on actually figuring out who vampires are, what moves them, what motivates them, that kind of thing. Loves, lives, favorite colors, musical
Now-
choices.
Now, for those of us who don't know a lot about the television series process, going into this, I suppose you don't totally know what's going to be part of each episode, right, from beginning to end, or is everybody aware of that? The way it's
When we
going to
shoot
get
it, we
chopped
do know.
up, you do know?
We do know when we shoot it. Yeah, we've got a lot of the scripts are written
And they're
before we
set.
start shooting.
Okay.
So yeah, we have a good idea of where the season's going to go. We don't know where the next season's going to go necessarily, or the one
Okay.
after that. But when we're shooting the show,
It stays tight.
we have a very clear idea.
We had 6 scripts written before we started pre-production. 10.
6 we released, 10 written.
Correct.
6 rhymes with 10.
Yeah, 6, 10. And then we had everything up into the last episode in advance. Sometimes it's not so fun. I know on Hell on Wheels we were starting prep on a script that we never had. We had an idea. There was an outline. We're going to go do this, but we might do. So it was. This was Neil and Simon ran such a great room. And we had the scripts, except for the last episode, well in advance, so we could plan for it, build for it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. How many episodes in the season?
13.
13. There's lots of at the back, very back. How long does it take to record an episode?
To shoot an episode. On Fargo, it's 8 days. On Hell on Wheels, it was 7.5. On this show, it was 6.5 days.
Wow.
We had a tiny budget. It was 1.75 US, 2.2 Canadian, which again is a testament to every single person, cast, wardrobe, hair, makeup, production design, directors, the writers, in building into something that we could afford.
Yeah, over on the side, yeah.
This is a question for Kelly Overton. Thanks to Van Helsing here. I'm just curious to know how you managed to connect with Vanessa. What were some of the challenges you faced for being a single mother and that sort of thing? And what did you enjoy also most about being Vanessa Van Helsing, I guess?
What I enjoyed most about being Vanessa was that I got to start from zero in a sense. I got to have this awakening and go on this really cool journey of discovering who I was and the supernatural powers that she had. I loved that, and I think one of my biggest challenges that I had with the character, which I also was one of my biggest pleasures, was finding the balance between her vulnerabilities and her stoicism, her strengths and her weaknesses, and when to play what, and just to make her a really full character.
I have to add to that. There was, as Chad mentioned, there was a difficult and complex casting process. And one day, Neil LaBute and I were sitting in a tiny little room in Beverly Hills to see, I think, the last 5 runners-up. And Kelly walked into the room, and within, I think, 4 seconds, Neil and I sort of looked at each other. We thought, okay, we got a series. Kelly's brought so much humanity to this show, and it's been such a joy working with her. I kept talking to her. Kelly has this, and you can see it on the screen. She has this turbine inside her, this electric generator. And when she gets going, she just projects so much energy and emotion. It's you can't take your eyes off her.
We have time for a couple more if anyone who had their hand up wants to go for it. Yeah.
Do you know where the end of the series, where you're aiming to go for, you know, how many shows don't, they just leave it kind of open-ended? Do you know where you're taking the show?
He's asking
Yes.
if they know where they're taking the show and what the ending is going to be.
Walter White dies. We've thrown around a lot of ideas. Yes, we tend to want to know what the end game is without cornering ourselves into getting locked into something that we can't get out of later if a better idea comes up. But you know, that's kind of the process of television too, is that it evolves as it goes. So on the one hand, yeah, we have a good idea of what the last episode might be, but we're kind of excited by the fact that we might find a different destination along the way, and that's kind of half the fun.
There's quite a few. Yeah, you and then you.
So the answer to the first part of the question I had, I guess it takes six to 8 days to shoot an episode. But the characters that were on the actual show, they were locked in this hostel, and then they're going stir crazy and they want to get out. And this is a question to some of the male actors, maybe Jonathan or some of the other ones, is when you're shooting, they're obviously intense to that episode. 6 to 8 days, but you actually yearn for, without giving anything away, future episodes where you're actually outside. Change, you actually embody what obviously very intense when you're playing a role. So you actually go, hell, I'd love to get the hell out of here and get, without, like I said, giving away the story, the future, but to get outside and a different venue, or is it just you're finding the same venue? You know what I mean?
Well, for one thing, they did let us go home at the end of the day, so that was a good thing.
What? It's not real?
I mean, I think part of the fun of it was the idea of trying to play the claustrophobia of that, and what that reality would be if you were stuck in a space for that length of time. But sure, 6, 7 episodes in, you start to think like, boy, would it be great if something happened in the story that would take us outside of here. Luckily, the
Spoiler
writers.
alert. Spoiler alert.
Luckily, the writers were ahead of us.
Spoiler alert. There's a good idea. They could get out and they could go somewhere else.
Could happen.
Could be a traveling show. Maybe.
Actors get smelly when you keep them indoors too long, too. You want to get them out.
You at the back, red hat. Yeah, go for it. Do you have anything to do with
No,
Tin
that's not our show. But we are involved with Fargo, this little series. We're going to season 3. So thank you. We're very proud of that one, and we got our ass kicked at the Emmys by OJ. So he's in jail and he's still causing troubles for us. That guy. No, we're very proud of that one. And Hell on Wheels, we had a great run. Chris and Michael, that was 6 years, and our lovely province. One of the reasons we went to Vancouver was because the change in the tax rebates and the tax credits here in Alberta, and it was actually the PC government, Prentice, before he left. He changed it, and what it does is it gives a disadvantage to shoot in Alberta for larger budget stuff. There's a cap on it. Fortunately, they saw Fargo leaving the province and decided that it was fair to be grandfathered on the old rules. And we've had some dialogue with the minister. And we hope that this new NDP government will listen to, I guess the big scream from all of us is if you don't make some changes, we'll all have area 604 area code telephone numbers very soon. Alberta is still one of the best places in the world to shoot. And for a budget of 25 million or less, it is still the best province in North America. But it's when you get bigger budget TV series, mini series, or feature films that unfortunately we've got some work to do in our province. But this is still home. Mike and I still pay taxes here. We'll have 2 TV series going in Vancouver if Van Helsing gets a pickup. But no, Tin Star is not ours. But Chris. You're one of the stars of Tin Star. He does speak. He doesn't speak in Van Helsing, but he does speak tonight.
I'm acting in Tin Star, but I have nothing to do with production. But it's a production company called Kudos, out of the UK, that's producing Tin Star here. It's a story of a Brit who brings his family over to Canada. A lot of times, the Canadian police force send out ads to Britain. They try and lure cops over from Britain to take the police chief jobs in Canada, and this is something that Rowan Joffe riffed on. And anyway, it's a great series. You got to check it out. It's gonna be great.
Was there still a question over on the side? Yeah, Jody. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's a terrifying challenge, actually. It's trying to learn a language in, how long did we have to shoot?
6 days.
Yeah,
6.5
6 days.
days.
So no, it was a huge challenge, and I was trying to learn as much as I could throughout production of Van Helsing, and I think we really saved the big dialogue stuff until closer to the end, so I had more of a fighting chance to
Spoiler alert.
learn the language
Spoiler
with
alert.
a little more with a little more alacrity. No, that's not really a spoiler alert. Just there's just more sign language. So it was a big challenge, yes, and a wonderful challenge as well.
We can take one more. Is that your hand at the back? Yeah. Okay. So
For which? For Van Helsing? Yeah, we in Vancouver. No, we shot in multiple locations, and we may actually get outside of the hospital. So.
dun dun dun. Is there anything that you want to add before we close this out and head to the party?
Thanks everyone for coming and seeing our show.
Thank you. We promise it'll get on
much.
television here in Canada.
And just a reminder to everyone that we'll be heading to State and Maine, and hopefully some of the cast and everyone here will be willing to answer some more questions or say hi.
Please come
Thank
say
you.
hello.
Yep.